the first thing I saw on the floor was like, AK-47 of the dead terrorists. So I picked it up. And we couldn't afford the fact that those weapons would get to the wrong hands.
Yeah, what are your words for those who say that is what Israel is doing in Gaza? It's a genocide.
If you're arrested for something solid, like having a weapon against the law, using your weapon against the law, smuggling, drug trafficking, things like that, you will go to prison. Most of the prisons are inside Israel.
Muy buenas, chicos y chicas. Bienvenidos a otro capítulo de Análisis África, y aquí tenemos a un invitado muy especial. Es un soldado del Ejército de Defensa de Israel, Capitán M, y nos va a hablar sobre la vida en Israel, ser soldado en Israel y la situación por la que está pasando el país. Hello, Captain M. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, man. Thank you for being with us today. And thank you for this interview, because I know it's a very sensitive topic and I know what you have to conceal your face and everything like that.
Yeah, no problem, of course.
So, can you tell us about yourself, please?
So Captain M is the most what people can know over here. I live in Israel. I was born in Israel. I'm 28. I served in the IDF Special Forces for almost 4 years. And yeah, that's, I like sports. I work out a lot. I run a lot. I like games. I game a lot. Basic human stuff every day.
Man, you just took this interview to a whole nother level. You're in the IDF Special Forces.
Yeah.
My goodness. I think this is going to be even better. So tell me, how is life in Israel? Let us know how is life in Israel. Is there a problem between Jews, Palestinian people, Arabs in a day-to-day life?
Look, like every country around the world, it's not always perfect, right? I live outside of Tel Aviv, and my neighboring neighborhood is, full of Arabs. We live good. I never had problems with them. So you need to learn the separation, because you have Israeli Arabs and you have non-Israeli Arabs. And the problem starts over there.
And how do you tell the difference between an Israeli Arab and an Arab who is Israeli, for example? How do you know?
In the end of the day, Israeli Arabs have all the same rights that I have. I vote, they can vote. They can study, I can study. All the basic things that like Israeli civilians can do. In Israel, yeah, it's a Jewish country by the end of the day, but it gives equal opportunity to the non-Jewish civilians over here, like the Christians, the Muslim, the Druze, the Bedouins. All of them are equal rights. Of course, you have like a bit more weaker socioeconomic, levels of the society, but most of the things there's equality everywhere over here. And how you identify them, because simple thing that Israeli Arabs have an Israeli ID and passport, and the non-Israeli Arabs don't.
But for those who say that Israel is an apartheid state, is it true or not?
Nah, bro. Honestly, how you can differentiate that?
How?
In South Africa, when the apartheid was a big thing, all the signs and everything was in English. Everything was in English, just to make life even, more complicated for the locals over there. Here in Israel, all the signs, street signs, all the, everything you need to know, everything is in Hebrew, Arabic, and English. Apartheid state, yeah. You write down, if you have access to Google right now, write down Tel Aviv main road. You're gonna see all the big major signs are in Hebrew, Arabic, and English.
So I'll ask you a question. So imagine I am an Arab grandfather who speaks Hebrew, but I'm Israeli and I want to do my ID or make my passport. Could I do so only speaking Arabic?
Yeah, you have Arabic services in Israel. You have Arabic, you have Ethiopian, you have Hebrew, you have English, Spanish, and Russian, and French too.
So if somebody doesn't speak Hebrew and the person is Arabic, he can do passport ID in Arabic.
Yeah. First of all, when you come to Israel, you have to prove your any ties. Like, if I'm Jewish, even for me being Jewish, I have to prove that I'm Jewish to get an Israeli ID. But you have a lot of Jews, let's say, who came from France, who doesn't know a word in Hebrew. They get their Israeli passport, but all the services they need will come in French. But in the end of the day, after a few months, if you won't learn Hebrew, yes, your life's going to be difficult, communicating with people, working and stuff like that. But
And I will ask you a question. Since 1948, do you think things have changed a lot or not?
And in which way?
For the better of the Arab people.
You all have to open that and look in a different perspective. If you mean inside Israel, the people who have an Israeli IDs,
Yes.
they have way better.
Inside Israel.
Inside Israel, the Israeli Arabs have way better life quality than they used to have. Outside of Israel, it's a different story. And how can you see it? If you come to a place in Tel Aviv called Jaffa, it's a really big Arabic neighborhood in Tel Aviv. All of the businesses over there are owned by Arabs. A lot of them are really, really rich families who have businesses over there. Or if you go to a place called Haifa, up north of Israel, it's also have a lot of big Arab population. People over there have big, thriving businesses, really big, thriving businesses.
So you have rich Arabs in Israel?
Very rich Arabs in Israel. Also rich Jewish people, but yeah, a lot of rich Arab people too.
And how does a Jewish person see the Nakba?
How a Jewish person see the Nakba? It's a different perspective. I wasn't born in 48, so I cannot say what, my grandpa felt back in 48, but I can tell you my different perspective from something similar. When I was 8 in 2004, it was the beginning of the second Intifada, if you heard the word Intifada.
Yes.
So basically, Intifada, what a lot of people don't know, it's like a translation of like an armed conflict. So when I was 8, I remember one day I missed the bus to school, and I just was sitting in the bus station. My mom came, and we missed another bus. After like 20, 30 seconds, the bus blew up midair, and apparently was a suicide terrorist sitting in the bus. This was the beginning of the second Intifada, and I was 8. After 2 years was the beginning of the second Lebanon war. Also, I experienced a lot of fire rockets all around. This is like, this is my life since then.
Do you think the two-state solution will finish the problem?
In the end of the day, I think everything starts with education from basic levels. I never taught to hate people, no matter where they're from, who they are, what kind of language they speak, or how they look. I know my mom did a good part of her, good job in her part of educating me for respecting people. So I think if each family and, people will take their kids and show them the right way, this is the only thing that will stop conflicts. But sometimes, sadly to say, sometimes a conflict is something unstoppable. If the conflict already started, you have to push till the end.
That's very true. So it doesn't happen again. But do you think there should be a Palestinian state?
First of all, we have to gain, trust in the Palestinian people. Because without trust, nothing will move. Look, I'm not gonna sit over here and lie to you and say, yeah or not. First of all, for something to happen, we need to gain trust again. Until there won't be no trust, I don't see any movement to a Palestinian state whatsoever.
Especially since October 7th, 2023. That's, I think, if there was any talks for a Palestinian state, that would be forgotten.
I think the same for now. For now, it's not a topic anymore. And I will tell you more than that, because, the settlements who were attacked that day on October 7th were settlements like in my perspective of the political place, I'm more righty, Those settlements lived over there was more lefties. So they were like, a lot of them were arranging trips inside Israel for Palestinian kids. A lot of them were arranging, meeting with Israeli doctors on the Gazan border. And those same settlements were attacked by the same people they were treating it. So if you talk about trust, no, the trust is way, way far away now in the back.
But what do you think on October 7th, the Israeli forces were not able to stop Hamas?
First of all, it was the holiday. So, there's a holiday in the holiday. A lot of soldiers, like me, of course, we all tune down. Of course, you want to keep your head above the rattle, but it's the holiday. Nobody expected that, and it's happened out of nowhere. Secondly, from my own experience that day, a lot of them were dressed as IDF soldiers. So one of the biggest problems were identification. You don't want to shoot at someone and find out he's an IDF soldier or he's a terrorist or something like that. A lot of that happened that day. So it went from 0 to 100 in less than 2 seconds.
That's the first time I hear that. They were dressed as IDF soldiers. Wow.
If you go to a Telegram group, it's called Gaza Now. It's the official Telegram news of Gaza. You can go all the way to October 7. You can see them dressed as IDF soldiers.
Wow.
And from my own experience that day, when I was running out of ammo, the first thing I saw on the floor was AK-47 of the dead terrorists. So I picked it up. And that can cause a lot of confusion because, the terrorists are dressed as IDF soldiers, but then you see IDF soldiers who ran out of ammo and now they're using AKs they picked up from the floor. It's also a thing that was that day.
So do you think it was well planned, like months or years in advance?
At least few years.
Wow.
At least few years.
It's good to see this from the IDF perspective because there are other voices that said that the Mossad did it in accordance with Hamas because whatever, because Netanyahu wanted war to keep his ass out of jail. Do you think that's true?
I don't think that's true because right now what's happening, a lot more people want him out of the government. So if he did do it, he shot himself in the leg. So the possibilities he was the one behind it is really low.
Wow. So from a young Israeli, how is joining the IDF? It's both for men and women. You have to be Jewish and can Arabs also join the IDF?
Yeah, you have Arabs in the IDF. If you're an Israeli citizen, first of all, if you're Jewish, you're mandatory to service. And if you're an Arab, you can ask for join because in our perspective, we don't want to make you fight against your own brothers. Because in the end of the day, you're a Muslim, and most of our enemies, sadly to say, around us are Muslim Arabs. So we won't want to put you in a situation that you as an Israeli Muslim citizen have to fight your brothers from a different country. So for Muslim citizens in Israel, the service is not mandatory, it's optional.
Okay. And how do you know you're gonna be in the IDF? Do you get sent a letter, or when you finish school, you have to go through a recruitment center? How does the process work?
Yeah, so around the 11th grade, of course, you go to field trips to army bases. You speak with a lot of soldiers and their part in the army and their service. So you start establishing an idea where you want to serve. You get your physically checks done. They describe you as you fit for combat units or not. And from there, you're planning your own way.
That's at the age of 17, 18?
Yeah, around 17, you start all the checks and all the studying. And when you finish the 12th grade, if you're already 18 and you finish the 12th grade, you're going to go in the closest summer. And if you finish the 12th grade, but you're still not 18, it will happen as soon as you get 18.
And do you get stationed next to your house?
It all depends. If you're a non-combat soldier, you can get stationed next to your house and you can go to the army every day and come back every day. And in my case, I was stationed far, far in the Israeli desert. And I came back home every 3 to 4 weeks.
And how is the first day? I wonder, because you see on YouTube the first day of American soldiers, but how is the first day of an Israeli soldier?
I'm sorry if I'm gonna say some bad words, but like the first day you just get your uniform, you get your boots, you get your backpack, all the basic stuff. You get on the bus take you for a 5-hour ride all the way to your base. You get off the bus, you look around and you say, fuck. You're like in the middle of the desert. Now you have to shave every day. You don't do the kind of favorite haircut you want to do every day. Your time is not your time anymore. You have to have a permission to go to the bathroom. You have to sleep on time. You have to wake up on time. It's a lot of shit show for someone who just finished high school and now have to be in this kind of a system that everything is like strict.
And how long is the boot camp?
It all depends because, non-combat soldiers, boot camp is way shorter. For me, it was 1 year and 4 months.
That's a long time for a boot camp.
Yeah, I started as a basic training. It's all the basic things like, shooting, running, physical fitness, maneuvering with a weaponry and everything like that. And after a few months, you go to the Special Forces boot camp. And then over there, shit hits the fans really, really big and really, really fast.
But you don't have to be in the army for like 3-4 years before you do the special forces thing? Or...
No, so the tryouts to the Special Forces, they begin before you join the military. Let's say you try for a really tier 1 Special Forces unit, but you didn't pass, you get a permission to go to a tier 2 Special Forces unit. And this was my case. I wanted to join the Israeli Navy SEALs. I got injured in the tryouts literally in the last day, so they told me I had a good performance, and they don't want to let me go out, so they gave me a letter with a list of tier 2 units I can join for one. And I picked one. I went for the interview, and that's where I joined.
Because in many armies around the world, you have to be like at least 3-4 years before you can even try for the special forces. So I thought it was going to be the same thing with the IDF.
No, here the time is really short. So if they found out you're worthy enough to join the Special Forces, they will make you ready as soon as possible. And trust me, they're doing a good job with that.
And how was the training or the selection for the Special Forces?
Everything you can imagine, like, with the fitness aspect, but 100 times harder. Everything happens under short time. Everything is under pressure. We have a procedure in the IDF and the Special Forces. It's called the floor is lava. Why? You can't stand. Everything you're doing, you're supposed to run. If you want to go to the bathroom, you're running. If you want to go to eat, you're running. Everything you do, it's running. It's always under pressure. It's always under time. And you always, always, always running, no matter what you're doing.
I see. And after you've been there for like 1 year, when do you get sent to combat?
So it all depends. If you're in your basic combat units, you can find yourself after 1 year. And Special Forces, they prefer you to finish your training before they can send you. But then, if like what happened in October 7, everybody sent, like from the shortest time of 8 months to up to a year.
So what is usually the first destination? The southern Lebanon border, Gaza, or the West Bank?
This is kind of confidential, but it's not like something that it all depends what the needs of the specific area needs right now, and by that they send the specific units they need to.
Okay. And if you could answer, which one do you think is the toughest border? Southern Lebanon, West Bank, or Gaza?
It's honestly, up to a few months ago, I thought it was Lebanon, because me and all the Special Forces in Israel, we always train to, like, in the end of the day, face up a unit called the Radwan Force, if you heard about them.
No.
It's the Hezbollah Special Forces. They're trained by the Iranian Special Forces called the Quds. And all our training was one day to face them. But what happened after the pager attack on the beginning of this year, It's just a paper tiger. It's not a tiger anymore.
I mean, the damage that the IDF has done to Hezbollah, I think it would take a long time for them to repair.
Not also repair. For me as a kid, till now, this is the first time I ever see the IDF like goes fully 100%.
But do you think Gaza and Hezbollah also have done a lot of damage to the IDF? Because you see on YouTube, IDF soldiers fell into this trap. IDF soldiers fell into this. 70,000 casualties.
In the end of the day, yeah, injuries are something prevented. You cannot prevent injury from soldiers. You know, it is what it is. And the number of dead soldiers, you know, it's really hard to hide information in Israel because the country is so small. So everybody say, no, 10,000 Israeli soldiers died. Bullshit. The number I can truly vouch for you, it's around 800 to 900 Israeli soldiers died from the beginning of October 7th. How many injured, though? Yeah, died. 800 to 900. Injured, we're talking about like at least 10,000 injured soldiers.
I was expecting more deaths. 900, that's like nothing.
Only soldiers. You're not considered civilians. With civilians, we're talking about like 3,000, 3,500.
That died. Wow.
More civilians died than soldiers.
That's very sad. That's very sad. Do you think the war in Gaza, was it a success or a failure? Because at the end, Hamas has not been destroyed.
So you have to differentiate what is destroyed. So in the end of the day, if it didn't happen in October 7th, that probably happened somewhere in the future. Was it successful? Not 100%. How much successful? I can tell you almost 75, 80% successful because right now, they're not shooting rockets for the last 8 months. They don't have any rockets anymore. They're hiding compared to the first day of the war. They're not going out of the tunnels. They don't have supplies. They don't have their own people support anymore because their people saw what Hamas brought them to Gaza. Death and destruction. Was it worth it?
No.
It's their question. They need to answer for that.
But who do you think was helping Hamas? Do you think Egypt, because Egypt is supposed to be one of Israel's biggest friend?
I don't think the Egyptian people, as the Egyptian government did it. I think they're like, because the border from Egypt to Africa is quite open. So I guess this is the path they brought their weaponry and how they smuggle all of their weapons and gear. But also you have local gangs in Egypt that help them too.
Yeah. What about the mission in northern Lebanon? Sorry, in southern Lebanon, northern Israel. Do you think it was a success or not?
Definitely. This is literally the first time I saw the IDF works 100% nonstop.
Because people say what happened in 2006 was a failure, and what happened in the last year also was a failure because you guys got like only 10 kilometers deep into Lebanon.
So what happened in 2006? It was a war we weren't prepared for. It came out of nowhere. And the missions was really unsure what we're supposed to do over there. So after 2006, when we came back from Lebanon, we already learned the area and we know what kind of places they can control that bring any kind of danger to Israeli settlements on the northern border. So when we came back this year, those are the first places we attacked first. And we were right because those places was full of dirt tunnels, of weapons. Every school, every mosque, every house in the villages next to the border of Israel had explosives, RPGs, tunnels, you just name it. And our mission was push Hezbollah back, not to take territory. And this was successful. And you see, the big and scary Hezbollah are not so big and scary anymore.
Oh, I personally thought, now that you told me this, I thought that you guys lost because I thought you guys wanted to take control of southern Lebanon, but
It's not our mission.
Okay. I thought that you guys got pushed back by Hezbollah.
No, we're still sitting in Lebanon. We also expanded to Syria. We also expanded to the first lines next to Damascus. Our missions are successful. The problem is all the enemies around us think they're the only ones who made it throughout the years, and they're, outsmarting us.
I see. When the central government of Israel decided to go to the northern front, what was the reaction of people since you guys had a big war in Gaza?
So we didn't have a lot of time to react because it's all happened in one night, because the attacks from Lebanon started already on the same day as the attacks from Gaza started, October 7th. And the people already pushed the government, okay, you guys need to do something to stop it. And the government waited almost a year until they did what they did. Right now, as a military personnel, I can understand why, because this year was a full year of gathering information and preparing for something big. And then the pager attack started, and that's what started the chain of reaction. And then we got in.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I thought that the attacks from Lebanon came like later. So it was an attack in northern and southern Israel at the same time.
Yeah, they started shooting rockets in the north, and October 7, the part of the Hamas terrorists from Gaza raided inside Israel.
Why did Israel decided to push into Syria? Al-Assad
Because
was already dead. So Al-Assad was away.
So what happens, Assad, before he left the country, you still have forces that supports him. And those forces held a lot of weapons next to the border of Israel. We're not talking about only rockets and tanks. We're talking about chemical weapons. We're talking about like mass destruction weapons. And we couldn't afford the fact that those weapons will get to the wrong hands.
I see. But I think the new government that is now in Syria, it's more likely to talk to have open conversation with Israel, don't you think?
I think so, but also I can see the videos of what they're doing to their own people over there. So, it's like it feels like a false peace. It's like they understand that we are dangerous and they don't want to mess with us. But also I can see Telegram videos of them literally murdering people in Syria for nothing.
Yeah, I've seen those videos. What do you think makes the IDF so successful?
Look, not every army, there is none army in the world you can call successful. You can call the armies experienced, and I will tell you why. First of all, we live in an area that everybody in the past or right now try to fight with us, try to kill us, try to destroy us. And what it brings you resilience and brings you understanding that you don't have any other place than Israel to go. So in your mindset, if you have to fight, you're fighting for the last blood, because the home you have to protect. With that, after World War II, after the Holocaust, all the Jews around the world started coming to Israel. A lot of those Jews came from the Canadian Army, the British Army, the American Army, the Russian Army. They all brought experience and knowledge to the table. And that's what developed the IDF today. It's the experience knowledge from a lot of fronts, from a lot of places around the world. And from that, you can build the most successful tactics you have.
And do you think the IDF is better at attacking or defending?
Our main mission is to defend, but we also know how to attack.
Because I thought that the IDF is better at defending than attacking before.
No. As a successful army, if you want to call yourself a successful army or experienced army, you have to know both of the things. So you have to do whatever you have to do.
Yeah. What are your words for those who say that what Israel is doing in Gaza, it's a genocide?
Look, if we truly wanted to kill everybody in Gaza, that would happen on October 8th.
How?
How? If we would truly want to do, we use only airplanes, Air Force, bombing until everything is flat. Everybody were dead. We don't care. The fact that we brought soldiers inside Gaza means that we have a mission that's not including killing people. We're looking for the terrorists and for our hostages. If we wanted to destroy people, look what happens in Ukraine and Russia right now. This is crazy. We're talking about like more than a million people dead, and this is old news. Nobody's talking about it anymore. But when it comes to Israel and Gaza Strip, that's a genocide. We're talking about almost 2 years of war, and the numbers are like only 1/10 of what happened in Russia and Ukraine.
But at the same time, there is people and there are reports that says that Israel is blocking the humanitarian aid to Gaza.
We're blocking that from our side. We're not. In the end of the day, let's say you're owner of a country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're fighting with a different country. Would you bring aid from your territory?
No.
We're not stopping Egypt to do it. We don't tell Egypt don't do it. In the end of the day, we can tell them, yo, guys, don't do it. It makes our shit worse. In the end of the day, it's their border. They decide what to do it. But you can see pictures from the Egyptian border. It's more guarded than the Israeli border with Gaza. It's more blocked. You have more soldiers over there, more weaponry, tanks and cars. You see?
But don't you think they do it just to keep Israel happy and the United States happy? Because if Egypt didn't get along with Israel, they wouldn't get billions of dollars per year.
Look, Egypt is a big country. They don't need us, and they don't need America for them. They can have way more benefits from other countries around the world. I think they have their own reasons not to help Gaza right now. I think they suffer from the same problem we suffer. Smuggling, tunnels, terrorists getting in their area. I think they're suffering from the same problems, so that's their reaction.
Yeah. There has been some TikTok videos about Israeli girls dancing in the IDF. There are some who say that that's for sympathy, to sexualize the IDF, to not really see what the IDF is doing to the Arab people, so they just look for sympathy. Do you think that's true?
I heard that too, but if you go to TikTok, those videos started in 2017, 18. It has nothing to do with the war that's going on right now. So if I think it's dumb, yeah, it's dumb. Dumb girls. They're not showing professionalism army. They're showing like we're a bunch of clowns. But if it's connected to the war right now, no. The video started in 2017. You just can, check and look around on TikTok. You can find videos all the way back from then. It's not started older than 2023.
I didn't know that. I thought that the video started in 2023 during the war, just to save face, to say, hey, look, we're the IDF, we're a bunch of pretty girls, whatever.
Started on Instagram back in 2014, 15, then TikTok when TikTok started in 17. It's a trend. It's a trendy thing that a lot of girls do over here if they're on their spare time at home or when they go on the weekend for the base.
And when do you think this whole situation will end?
Honestly, I don't know. Our main cause right now, it's like there's two parts of the main cause. It's bring the hostages back and make sure what happened in October 7 never happen again.
But how many hostages they took? Like thousands or hundreds of them?
No, so they took the base, more than 200 was on October 7. And then, since then, we got pulses of releases. Right now, there's around 59 hostages left.
Oh, okay. But there are people who say that Israel does not care about the hostages. They just want to bomb the place and destroy Gaza and send the Palestinians to Jordan or to Egypt. What did Trump say? That they're going to make a Riviera out of Palestine, out of Gaza.
First of all, from my experience, Gaza is a beautiful place. If those people truly want to be successful and rich, they can make Gaza as the second Singapore of the world. That's number one. Number two, if our main cause was just to kill Palestinians, why should we send troops inside Gaza? Why not just to use the Air Force and the Navy? The fact that the first day we crossed inside Gaza and we used infantry to fight over there just showed the fact that our procedures are more targeted towards terrorists and not civilians. Yes, civilians die. This is war. What happens in Ukraine, what happens in Sudan, what happens in Syria, what happens all around the world in conflicts. Civilians are caught between the two fighting forces. You cannot prevent that. But in the end of the day, if we were truly wanting to kill as many possible Palestinians, why should Israel send any troops inside Gaza? Why not just to bomb straight from the air?
And what do you think about what Trump said, sending the Palestinian people to Jordan or Egypt?
I don't think I support that. I support Trump. I support America, but I don't support this decision.
Because I don't think the Palestinian people will leave their country just like that. What you said about
not only that, because what in the end of the day, what that will teach them, that they do bad things and now they send all the way around the world. They will come back in 50 years, bigger, like mad. And you need to start from the bottom. The time to do changes right now. Okay, we take off Hamas. Now it's the time to work on education. Bring the UN, not the UN workers they send over there that are disguised Hamas members. Bring the real UN workers from Europe. And this is time to change the education from the base over there. Because if we want peace one day, everything needs to start from the bottom. Kicking them away, yeah, it will probably stop the problem for the next, 40, 50 years, but it would bring it back later in 50 years, bigger and more complicated.
But you said Gaza could be like the next Singapore. Do you think the Israeli government would allow that?
If Hamas will stop pushing to killing Jews, yeah. Back in 2000, the beginning of 2000s, I could take a train from Israel to Gaza Strip without a problem. Because a lot of people say there's no Hamas in the West Bank. Hamas started as a movement in the West Bank. But what happened when Israel got inside the West Bank, Hamas moved to Gaza because Israel wasn't there. So before Hamas got inside Gaza in 2005, Israeli citizens could go to Gaza, buy in the markets, be with the Palestinians over there and do whatever you want. Since 2005, that's it. That shit is over. You cannot go to Gaza anymore.
Do you need like a special permit to go to Gaza, or you just can't?
Back in 2005, no, you can literally take a bus or train and find yourself inside the Gaza Strip. It was all good, all fine, wasn't dangerous at all. Now, nobody can cross inside Gaza.
What about in 2010? Would you need a special permission or not?
And which specific situation?
If let's say we are in 2010 and I wanted to go to Gaza just to see.
No, you have to go from Egypt.
What about to go to the West Bank?
West Bank is free. You can cross there and back as much as you want. If you're if you have a foreign passport and you have a visa stamp to go inside Israel, you can go to the West Bank, back to Israel, West Bank, back to Israel, nonstop. If you're a Palestinian with a Palestinian passport, it's a bit problematic.
Can Palestinians go to Israel?
And you have two circumstances. One, half of the Palestinians in the West Bank have Israeli passports. They do. But living in the West Bank is much more cheaper than living inside Israel. That's what a lot of people don't tell you. And second of all, if you don't have Israeli passport, but you're a Palestinian, you can go in Israel if you have a work permit. And that happens a lot. A lot of Palestinians in the West Bank have work permits, and they go in Israel inside of Israel every day to work, and they come back.
You told me something that I didn't know. I didn't know that half of the people of the Arabs in the West Bank had a Israeli passport.
Most of the time there was like a terror attack, like you want from we call it the lone wolf, a lonely terrorist, one who just decided to pick a knife and stab. After he got shot, situation came to the point he killed people, he got shot and died. You're looking on his stuff, you find an Israeli passport or Israeli ID.
So if I have a Palestinian ID and I want to get a work permit from Israel, how do I get it?
Basically, I really don't know, but I guess you have to you do a request for the Israeli work department, and you have certain parts of things you can work for, like agriculture, construction. Also, a lot of Palestinians go inside Israel for school, universities. The Hebrew University of Jerusalem and the Tel Aviv University has the biggest Arab population in Israel.
But do they have Israeli passport or Palestinian passport?
They have Palestinian passport. They just have to pay the tuition. The tuition in Israel for 1 year is $2,500. included everything. So every basic, civilian can afford that price for a year. It's not for a month. 1 year, it's only $2,000.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So, what about through all the checks that a Palestinian has to go through to get to Israel? There is like 3 or 2 passport checks, right?
So basically, the crossings will happen to both Israeli and Palestinians. If I'm coming back from the West Bank inside Israel, I'm going to go to the same checks. They will check my car. They will check my ID. It doesn't matter if I'm Israeli or Palestinian. A lot of smuggling inside Israel happens by Israelis. So the fact that I have Israeli passport doesn't say I don't have drugs in the back part of my car. They will stop everybody randomly, no matter who you are.
How do your Arab colleagues feel in the IDF about this whole thing?
Some of them joined the army because they have like a different perspective about Israel. They they love the country they came from. They love the land. They have better opportunities than they used to have. Most of the IDF Arab soldiers are like pro-Israeli, so they don't have like a different perspective than mine.
Are they Muslim as well?
Yes. More Christian. I'm not gonna lie, more of them are Christian Arabs. But you have like at least 15% of the Israeli army is like Muslims. 15.
1-5.
1-5, yeah.
You surprised me with some of the things that you told me, because I didn't know that Israelis have to go through the same through the same checks to go to the West Bank.
It's not when you go to the West Bank, it's when you come back from the West Bank.
So when you go to the West Bank.
Yeah, when you go to the West Bank, it doesn't matter if you're Israeli or Palestinian, nobody will stop you because, you're leaving Israel to a different spot. It's not dangerous. But when you're coming from the West Bank to Israel, of course, I pass the checkpost, Palestinian pass the checkpost, everybody passed the checkpost.
And what do you think about these videos? I think there is a YouTube channel called Biki Salem, something like that, that they show Israeli soldiers going at night into houses, start harassing people and bullying people.
Happens a lot. It's in the West Bank. But basically, it comes to the fact that like somebody posted a terror threat on Facebook or something like that, or somebody has been spotted by his neighbors holding weapons. Most of the times when Israeli army raids on houses, it comes from like reconnaissance and intelligence purposes. It happens a lot of times when neighbors call the army, because in the West Bank, there's no police force. You have like the Palestinian police force, but it's really weak and small. So most of the time, the police jobs has been done by the IDF. So what happens most of the time, let's say a village, and somebody see one of his neighbors with a weapon. Now he says, look, I don't want the IDF raiding here every night and destroying everything. So what I will do, I will call them. I will say, this guy has weapons in the house. Go and arrest him. And that's what happens most of the time.
But who makes the report, the Israeli settlers or the Arabs?
Both.
I've also heard that in West Bank and Gaza, that anybody who is arrested is under martial law. Is it true?
No. If there was martial law, you know how many people were dead right now? If you're arrested for something solid, like having a weapon against the law, using your weapon against the law, smuggling, drug trafficking, things like that, you will go to prison. Most of the prisons are inside Israel. Why it's inside Israel? Because if it was not inside Israel, the detainees didn't have any rights. Because it's inside Israel, they can have been checked by the Red Cross, they can have been checked by the Red Crescent, everything they need. So the fact we're working by the rules and laws just show how forward we are with everything that comes with that. Yeah, in the end of the day, if you will draw a weapon in front of the army, you will get shot and die in the end of the day.
So if a little boy for throwing rocks is arrested, he's not under martial law?
No, most of the time what happens is he will get taken to the police station, but his dad or mom will come to pick him up. Yeah, he will get fined for that. You have to get punished. But next time he will think twice. But let me give you a different situation. From my perspective, what happened like almost 5 years ago. I was riding. I was not in the army. I was riding with my own car. I saw at least 5 of those, not kids, let's say 17, 18, throwing rocks at cars crossing the road. One of the cars was an old lady. She got hit by a rocket. She was hit by a rock, and the car started flipping over. In the end of the day, rocks can kill you, same as pistol and knives.
Was the lady Israeli or Arab?
Israeli.
Do you think they did it because she was Israeli?
No, a lot of times they throw rocks also, and you find out it's a Palestinian. But most of the time, when it's Palestinian, they come off their car and they're kicking the ass of the kids.
I've also heard that Palestinians, they need a lot from Israel. If I remember well, it was a Palestinian guy who told me that the IDs and the birth certificates of Palestinians are done by Israelis. Is it true?
Most of them, yeah. But most of them come to Israeli hospitals and, give birth in Israeli hospitals. When they give birth in Palestinian hospitals, most of their documents are Palestinian documents.
Because when I've seen some of the videos when IDF soldiers check on the Palestinian IDs, I'm like, why are they reporting it? If they're from Palestine, how do they know in the military base or the police base in Israel?
So as I told you before, the police force inside the West Bank, it's not the Palestinian police. They are really weak. So most of the police job is done by the IDF. So everything from if you have tribal records, if you have any, reports of stolen cars, stolen motorcycles, activities against the law, your Palestinian passport will show it in the Palestinian database.
And before we finish the interview, what would you like to say about some myths about Israel and the IDF, maybe?
Well, we work hard. A lot of people around the world think it's a Call of Duty game, and they like to chant Intifada, and armed conflict. But when we start to retaliate, no, you guys retaliate. It's not a game, people. You guys chant for Intifada. That's what happens. The conflict you guys chanting for. If you truly want peace for the Palestinian people, start chanting for peace, not for war. Because if you want war, we can bring war. That's what happens right now. If you truly want peace, start changing things. Because if you're not gonna start it from the very far, it's not gonna happen over here.
And for those who say that they're making a Ben Gurion canal in Palestine, in Gaza, and I heard they found a lot of gas and oil, maybe. Do you think that's why they're killing the Palestinians?
Nah, there's no gas or oil over here.
No.
I can tell you one thing for sure. This area is dry from gas and oil. Maybe the ocean. The ocean has gas, underwater gas. But the ground over here in this part of the world, it's not like Iran or Iraq. It's really dry.
So there is no gas in Gaza that they found, or
something like that?
Up till now, not something that I heard of.
Have you heard of the Ben Gurion Canal?
Yeah.
Do you think that's why it's happening? Do you think that's why there is a war in Gaza?
No, because if it was about that, it's so the October 7 was only an excuse, but it's not that. It's only happened because October 7 happened. If we truly wanted to destroy Gaza and take their gas, it would happen before that. and the fact that everything is in war right now will probably make our efforts to take the gas even harder.
That's very true.
If it was our thought about taking the gas, we did a really bad job in planning out to do it.
Captain M, thank you for being with us these 15 minutes, man. It has been a hell of a talk with you, and we got to see the point of view from an Israeli, and we got to know some facts that we didn't know from before.
Look, in the end of the day, a lot of people that will see the podcast will say, no, he's lying, he's not lying. It's all good, you know. In the end of the world, in the end of the day, we live in a world that, you know, the freedom of information is something out of this world. But also, you have to open your mind and truly think about: does it make sense, or doesn't make sense, or what's true or wasn't true? I can't say the traditional media channels are the one who tell the truth most of the time, but you know, I just recommend people do a much more deeper research, and that's it.
Well, Captain M, thank you for being with us. Okay, I will have to say goodbye to you.
Have a good day.
great day.